Let's see if this technology actually works. Yes? Yes. In the meantime, I'm extremely inspired to be here and to be among really the greatest, certainly among the very greatest experts in Ayurveda in the world. And to see in this 7th conference the blossoming of Ayurveda and spreading all over the world. My own university is a great beneficiary of the spread of knowledge. So I'm going to start with a 12-second welcome to MIU, Maharishi International University. If we can go to the slides, please. Yes. Maharishi International University is celebrating its 50th anniversary of founding by His Holiness Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, a new paradigm in education dedicated to the full development of human consciousness. Education literally for enlightenment. Higher education for higher consciousness. Located in a beautiful, sattvic, tranquil setting, the flagship University of Consciousness-Based Education in the world. And just again, a few seconds of introduction to the physical campus, which is very joyous and blissful. And now Ayurveda at MIU. MIU really has become the epicenter for Ayurveda in the West, I would say, certainly in the United States. We have about 600 graduate, Master of Science, and undergraduate students, practitioners training currently at the university, and these programs are expanding. And in addition, a new program, which is also, see, first of all, before MIU, there was no such thing as a graduate program, an accredited program in Ayurveda in the United States. We're very happy to make this into an actual US accredited program of study. It's long overdue, but it's great that it is happening. And in addition, just now, a new program for medical doctors, for MDs, to receive advanced training in Maharishi Ayurveda and integrative medicine and be board certified as a specialist in Ayurveda and integrative medicine. So, you know, you can be in the United States trained and certified as a OBGYN or as an oncologist, but you can now also have as your formal specialization integrative medicine, and for the first time now, Ayurveda integrative medicine. So these are nice steps forward. Wanted to thank the great Vaidya's who have come to the US to be leaders of this program, led by the great Vaidya Manohar Palakurti, who has joined us at this conference. He was with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi for decades in the development of Ayurveda, which is really just the revival of Ayurveda in its fullest and reconnecting Ayurveda as a physical practice to its deep roots in consciousness, in pure Veda, restoring the Veda in Ayurveda. And my point today will be fairly simple and fairly short. It's a simple point, but I think it's an important point for all of us to understand and for Western medical doctors also to understand, is that we all know that Ayurveda is ancient, it's timeless, but it is also, at the same time, the most modern system of medicine. And that may sound unusual, but it is actually true. Ayurvedic medicine is what we call, what a unified field theorist or quantum physicist would call unified field-based medicine. Ayurvedic medicine is ultra-modern, cutting-edge, unified field-based medicine. Well, what is that, just to clarify? Well, physics has revealed that our universe is actually structured in layers of creation, from the macroscopic visible to the microscopic invisible. So again, the universe is structured in layers of creation. On the surface level, of Newtonian physics. This is brick and mortar physics, physics to do with the material world. But underlying the physical world is the much subtler world of atoms and molecules, which are not just smaller, they're completely different. They obey completely different laws with a whole new logic, a whole new language called quantum mechanics. It's not really any longer a world of physical matter. It's more a world of mind, more a world of mind. And subtler than the atom and smaller than the atom is the atomic nucleus and the nuclear particles, 1,000,000 times smaller. In nuclear physics is a whole new language, a whole new logic, a whole new mathematics. So these layers of nature are fundamentally distinct from each other, becoming subtler, more powerful, more profound, and at the foundation of it all is the fulfillment of Einstein's lifelong dream, which is the discovery of the unified source of everything. The unified source of this diversified universe of particles and forces and planets and species, all emerging from this underlying field of energy and intelligence. So what is this unified field? Skipping a little bit of mathematics, you could say it is a field of just pure existence, a field of pure being, pure intelligence, a field of infinite and eternal silence. Like an ocean is silent at its depth, but an ocean is also dynamic on its surface. And like that, this unified field is silent at its depth, but dynamic at its surface. And at the surface of this universal field of intelligence, you have this roiling and boiling and the bubbling of bubbles, like ginger ale effervesces bubbles. But these bubbles aren't ginger ale, actually. Physicists describe them as what are called superstrings, tiny, tiny elastic loops. And they're not made of rubber. They're not made of anything. Remember, this is not the world of mind. This is not the world of matter. It really is a world of mind. The world is not physical, fundamentally. It's all an expression of mind. It's all the expression of some universal intelligence. So anyway, the unified field percolates these vibrating loops called superstrings. And to make a long story short, because there's some mathematics behind this, rubber bands vibrate. It's the only thing you have to remember from this conference. Rubber bands wiggle. And you can do that experiment at home. But if you do it carefully, you can analyze that there are different ways a loop can vibrate, clockwise and counterclockwise, and this way and that way. And all these different types of vibrations of these fundamental superstrings, these vibrating loops, they have different frequencies. Some are very lazy, slow, low energy. Some are very frenetic, fast, high energy. And Einstein tells us that energy is related to mass. So these vibrating strings have different masses. And the miracle of string theory is that the masses of these vibrating strings are the same as the mass of the electron, of the proton, of the neutron, of the photon of electromagnetism. That all the particles of nature that make up me and you are just these vibrating, you could say, superstrings emerging from this ocean of unbounded intelligence. So specifically, the field of gravity, the particle known as the graviton, comes from clockwise vibrating strings. And the field of electromagnetism, the force of electromagnetism, which is responsible for light, are counterclockwise vibrating loops. And the electrons and protons and neutrons inside of us and inside of this are more complicated vibrating states of these loops. And the so-called God particle, the Higgs particle, and the rest are just different states of vibration of the unified field. So the story is that the fundamental particles of the universe are really just the fundamental frequencies of vibration. These are the reverberant frequencies of the unified field that appear as an electron or a photon. And so everything comes out of this unified field. And the whole universe comes out of these fundamental particles. So anyway, the universe emerges from the unified field. Now these 5 spin types listed here are the 5 fundamental elements of the universe, all really just states of vibration of the unified field. And these 5 ingredients that make up the whole physical universe, or 5 spin types as they are called, are the same as the Pancha Mahabhutas, the 5 elements that are described in the eternal Vedic wisdom, also referred to in the Chinese wisdom as well, which I think was strongly influenced by the Vedic wisdom. So for example, these 5 spin types that physics identifies as the source of the universe, or the building blocks of creation, relate exactly to the 5 Panchamahabhutas that are described in Ayurveda and in the Vedic science. So, for example, Akasha means what? It means space. But not space as nothing, not just an empty stage, but space as a subtle substance, a very subtle substance. Sometimes we call it the ether. But in physics, this spin 2 particle, the graviton it's called, is also space. Not space as nothing, because space isn't nothing. It's very subtle, but it curves and it warps and it flows as an extremely fine fluid, what's called a relativistic fluid. So Akasha means space as subtle substance. Gravity, the graviton, is space as subtle substance. And we could spend a long time on this. I won't. I'll give one more example. Agni, or Tejas, means fire. It means light. It's related to digestion, chemical transformation. The spin 1 particle of physics, which relates, is the photon of electromagnetism. And electromagnetism is responsible for light and heat and chemical transformations, molecular structure and chemical transformations, digestion included. So you have this one-to-one correspondence between what physics identifies as the most fundamental ingredients of creation and what the ancient Vedic science and Ayurveda describes as the fundamental elements of creation. There's a purpose to all this, as we'll see in a moment. Now, these 5 spin types in the Panchamahabhutas also combine to form more holistic structures, 3 more holistic structures called in physics superfields, and in the language of Ayurveda called the 3 doshas or 3 prakritis, depending upon the context. And those 3 are the same, different language, different words, for the very same reality. Now, in physics, for example, these 5 spin types unite to form the gravity superfield and what are called the matter superfields and the so-called gauge superfields. Only those possibilities are logically possible, are mathematically possible. And those 3 are the fundamental, more holistic fundamental ingredients of the whole universe. And in Ayurveda, in Charak Samhita, it describes Vata Prakriti as the unification of a combination of Akasha and Vayu. Pitta Prakriti, the combination of Tejas or Agni and Apas. Kapha Prakriti, the combination of Apas and Prithvi. So this same structure that the ultra-modern physical theories describe as the nature of matter and the origin of the physical universe are the same structures that are described in the ancient Vedic science and are very, very important in Ayurvedic medicine. So what is Ayurveda from this perspective? Ayurveda treats the human being. Ayurveda treats the human body in terms of its balance of these three fundamental entities, these three most holistic and subtle physical entities called Vata, Pitta, Kapha. And therefore, and this is very close to the unified field, this is the first sprouting of the unified field of pure universal consciousness into the realm of matter. And that first sprouting is in terms of three. Whether we're talking about the physics language or the language of Vedic science. So this is what we mean by Ayurvedic medicine is really ultra-modern, cutting-edge, unified field-based medicine. If you look at modern medicine, so-called modern medicine, it's much more superficial. I mean, modern medicine on the surface of life, on the gross physical level, has things like physical medicine, orthopedics, certain surgeries, but really modern medicine is mostly about pharmacology today. Pharmacology. Inventing new pharmaceutical molecules to change the balance of the chemistry of our bodies. So modern medicine is primarily chemical medicine, molecular medicine, and that's powerful, but it's complicated. We have tens of thousands of organic molecules in our human body. So let's say we're low on something. We're low on thyroid-stimulating hormone. Modern medicine provides a chemical to lift that abundance, to lift that molecule. But the chemistry of the body is so complicated with tens of thousands of molecules. If you try to adjust one, you inevitably start to imbalance others. And that is why modern medicine, as complicated as it is filled with side effects. Sometimes the side effects are as dangerous as the cure. But Ayurvedic medicine takes it to a much deeper level. As we saw before, Ayurveda, as traditionally practiced, treats the body at a much more holistic level, a much deeper level, almost at the level of the pure consciousness of the individual. And on that level, physics is far more powerful. Medicine is more powerful, but at the same time more gentle, more holistic. It's so utterly simple that the chance for creating side effects is much, much smaller. But my key point is this. Ayurveda goes deeper than the three prakritis, the three doshas. Ayurveda really has its roots directly in the unified field. Ayurveda, mostly at the level of the three prakritis, has deeper roots in the unified field, in the field of Atma, the field of consciousness. And the system of yoga, in the 8 limbs of yoga described by Patanjali, Maharishi Patanjali, in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, yoga is about experiencing the unity. Yoga means union or unity. Yoga is about the experience of unity within and anchoring the individual mind and body in the unity within, which is the unified field, the same intelligence that brings order to the universe. It reconnects the individual to its unified universal self. So just in brief, what is yoga? You're very familiar with it. But as you know, the human mind, just like physical nature, is structured in layers of creation. The mind is structured in layers, from superficial thoughts, surface thoughts, to more subtle, more settled, more expanded thoughts, to abstract thinking, to fine feeling. And beyond the finest feeling is pure being, pure consciousness, samadhi. Yoga, in addition to asanas, pranayama, pratyahara, it also includes techniques to actually bring the awareness, which is normally outwardly focused, and turn the awareness within so that surface thoughts settle down and the awareness begins to experience subtler and subtler levels of thought, finer and finer levels of thought and feeling, transcending the faintest impulse of feeling to experience pure being, purely consciousness, to experience the Atma, the big self, the true self, the unbounded universal self, which is the foundation of all of us. It is the I inside of us, the experiencer within us. That is the Atma. That transcends body, it transcends mind. It's on the level of pure being. It's the level of the unified field. That experience, of course, is called samadhi in the language of yoga. Samadhi describes the state of consciousness as the peaceful, the blissful, the undivided or unified is thought to be the fourth state of consciousness. That is the self, the experience of the self. That is to be known. Or from the literature of yoga, the Upanishads, the fourth state of consciousness is Atman, in its own pure state, the awakened life of supreme consciousness. Now, modern science has verified the existence of this fourth state of human consciousness, distinct from waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. Beyond those three is Atma, is the self. In the experience of the self, itself, by itself, freed from thought, feeling, excitation, that state of inner calm, inner unity is a fourth major state of human consciousness characterized by extremely deep rest, profound relaxation with full mental alertness, with expanded human consciousness. It is the most powerful stress buster, which is very important in this time. It's the most effective form of relaxation, most powerful state of relaxation that has been studied. It leads to profound physiological changes like marked improvements in high blood pressure. The American Heart Association endorses transcendental meditation, which is a modern, effortless way to transcend that anyone can use easily, and has found that only that practice clinically improves blood pressure. And more important than blood pressure is the end result of high blood pressure is heart disease. And just practicing TM 20 minutes twice a day reduces heart attack, stroke, and related death by 2/3. And that's pretty remarkable. I don't think there's any drug that comes nearly that close. And this, of course, was big news that went around and around the world. So anyway, transcendental meditation is certainly a profound state of rest and relaxation that rejuvenates the body, has powerful effects on the mind. The state of pure consciousness or samadhi is a state of high, profound orderly brain functioning, what's called global EEG coherence. That coherence is associated with increased intelligence, creativity, job performance, scholastic performance, increase in IQ and intelligence just by transcending regularly is profound. And that's why thousands of schools, tens of thousands of schools today have now incorporated TM into the school day, into the classroom in India and all over the world, America, South America, because of the mental effects of meditation. So anyway, the experience of samadhi is incredibly healthy and transformational, and it creates immediate balance in the mind and body. The stabilization of samadhi 24 hours a day comes from regular exposure, regular practice, and that's a more profound state of enlightenment, which is real. And we can't talk much about it here because I'm out of time, but the stabilization of samadhi in your daily activity and during dreaming and during sleeping consciousness, so that inner consciousness is fully, the light of consciousness is fully lit and permanently stabilized. That's the natural state of mind, free from stress. And that develops relatively quickly with regular practice of TM. It's shown in many of our advanced students at MIU who've been at MIU practicing their meditation for some years. You'll see that during meditation, brand new meditators, 4 months, and long-term meditators, 8 years, have the same samadhi, the same state of profound EEG coherence, but it's coming out of meditation that the new meditator's orderliness starts to get scattered again. But the long-term meditator's experience of inner calm, inner unity, inner unboundedness, inner silence, inner stability, that becomes permanent in activity. That state of enlightenment is really kind of really one of the, certainly the goal of yoga, but also very important to Ayurveda. So anyway, this state of samadhi is a state of perfect balance, brings great benefits to health. We've seen a few of them. Permanently established is a permanent state of balance and optimal health. So summarizing, Ayurveda, which deals with the body at its subtlest level, at the level of what physicists would call unified field-based medicine, extends beyond the three gunas, extends beyond the prakritis into the realm of consciousness. Through the practice of yoga, transcending, which is part of Ayurveda. Yoga is an essential part of Ayurveda. That's what restores the Veda to Ayurveda. Veda is intelligence, knowledge, pure knowledge, knowledge of the wholeness, the totality of life. So bringing back yoga into the realm of Ayurveda makes Ayurveda powerful, much more powerful. So we could say this. Ayurvedic medicine and its extension through the practice of yoga to the experience of pure being, universal consciousness within, these levels of the body, subtlest physical and consciousness beyond the physical, these are the most powerful aspects of human life, the most powerful foundation of the human body and human being. So this kind of medicine is the most powerful. It's by far the most holistic, and it is naturally free of side effects because of the utter simplicity and holistic nature of it, especially on the level of pure consciousness, when there's just one universal reality of being at that level. So I think we can say that Ayurvedic medicine is truly, ultimately, Atma-based medicine, or in the language of physics, Ayurvedic medicine is, in fact, ultra-modern, cutting-edge, unified field-based medicine. And our medical doctor friends all over the world who are practicing allopathic medicine may wonder whether this ancient and revered, timeless knowledge is as cutting-edge as what they're inventing in the laboratories every day in the West and in India too, and in Nepal. And the answer is, modern medicine is still scratching the surface. Ayurvedic medicine takes you all the way to the foundation of the human body and to the origin of body in consciousness. And we all have to realize the incredible gift of the eternal Vedic knowledge of Ayurveda, because it is the foundational medicine that will become, again, it is becoming the core, the most profound, the most revered medical practice, and the one that is free of negative side effects and can restore balance and health to anyone. Thank you very much.
Let me request the President of Maharishi International University and the Vice-Chancellor of Kathmandu University to exchange their signing document in front of Prime Minister, please. Please come.